as a nation proudly stand, we will march beneath her banners to protect our ancient land. In the glens and cities, there on every street, are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let a flag mean freedom and not a battle drum. To the world we bid a welcome in 1,000 different ways. We will toast to long lost friendships as we build our better days. In the glens and cities, there on every street, are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum. We are all the heroes of Scotland. We're a nation hand in hand. We will march beneath her banners to protect our ancient land. In the glens and cities, there on every street, are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum.
No sound because I've got the microphone muted. Thank you very much, Triple M. As I say, I'm a little bit behind, but I'm going to bring on Sensum straight away. How you doing there, my friend?
Hello, John. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I'm okay, thank you.
Good, right. I've just sent off Ecky's email, and now I need to do one for William.
Yeah, I literally only got mine at
Yeah,
8:58. Yeah.
I'm way behind tonight. I was too busy doing something for myself.
Yeah.
And suddenly
I
looked
know what that's like.
and suddenly looked up there and went, oh gosh, look at the time. You haven't got your invites out. Who am I looking for? Oh, I William. William.
Well, Eki just sent an email through, so I know he's around somewhere.
Good, good. Oh, there's Steve. Steve is with us. I was speaking to him just the other day. He's doing a bit better than he was. Not 100% yet, but getting there. Oh, come on, John. Where is William? Do you ever get your emails muddled up?
Yeah, all the time.
I thought it was just me.
Let me see if I can send it to him
Oh,
on Telegram, because he's on Telegram.
right, just go it.
If he's watching, that is.
Got it now. Got it now. So what's new with you, my friend?
Just busy. Been really busy.
Yeah.
Just but bad busy. I made the mistake of taking one day off work, which was a Friday, and
Oh,
then on the Monday there was a load of people off on holiday. I don't know why, because the kids aren't off, but there was a load of people off on holiday. So basically, all of the shite that came in on Friday afternoon,
was
all of a
all right.
sudden managed to find itself to me. Apart from that,
Right, that's William's email off. So that should be everyone. It's just Eki, and I don't think Samuel's coming on tonight. He's very, very tired. Like yourself, he's had a real busy time at work. And like most people his age, he doesn't get enough sleep in.
Well, I can still sleep like a bloody, like Rip Van Winkle. But
Yeah.
I've made a mistake of coming onto Telegram, and now I've got a boatload of reminders to forward on to people. So,
Dear.
you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. It's for our good friend Bonnie Lad, because he's streaming tomorrow night. So, yeah.
Right. I don't bother with these things, senseless.
I'm literally on nothing else other than Telegram and YouTube. So,
Yeah. One too many for my liking, to be honest with you.
yeah.
I tried it a couple of years back, but oh my god.
Yeah, it's just I only do it to I only do it to keep in touch with people, because I'm not on Facebook or the Twitter, well, X or whatever it's called this week.
Yeah.
So,
well, look, friends. An email has just come in from Eki to let me and all of you know that his mother has taken ill.
I saw there was an email, but I didn't know what it was about. I haven't
So he's not going to be here tonight.
Oh well.
Well, his mum comes first, of course.
Yeah, well, I hope she gets. I wish.
I'm not reading it properly. According to what he's saying,
he's got a lot of information about the film, so
right.
Yeah. I'll leave it in. I'll leave it open, shall I say? And then if we get to certain points and I see something, I may recount what Eki's said. So
he's saying hello, everybody, of course, as he would.
yeah. Yeah, at the end, he said, tell everybody, oh, hey, buddy. So, there you go.
A typical leg here. Well, we're just waiting on dear William. Well, there he's in the chat.
William, I've sent you the Telegram link if you want the StreamYard, mate.
And I've sent you the email, William.
Oh, he said he'll be a couple of minutes, that's all.
All right, okay. No, as I say, that's what's wrong with my son. He's overly tired. He'll be snoring, no doubt.
Driving them home, as me nanny used to say.
Right. So when I was speaking to Steve, the moderator, I was asking him about his fishing. You know, he's a keen fisherman.
Yeah.
And he said he would send me some photographs, which he has. I have them here in front of me, but I think I'll leave it till next week and put them up so that everybody can see that he's doing okay. Everybody, I think, needs time away from YouTube. Or our people seem to need time away, don't you think?
Well, yeah, I've done a couple of sort of ones where I seem to have been on like every night, and William always picks up on, you're never off the old YouTube. To be fair, in the week, I literally have whatever time work packs in, I check my emails, I check Telegram, and then I switch it off, and that's pretty much me for the night. You know, there's every now and again, if I get time, I'll try and pop in, but usually it literally is. Check my own emails and check Telegram for any sort of notes or if anybody's asking anything or when are we streaming, the usual sharabank. Yeah. So yesterday I wasn't even on at all because when I finished work, the lad come pick me up and went out for tea, and then we had a bit of a blow. He actually went for fish and chips, which I know it doesn't sound particularly posh or anything, but it was tell you what, they were hefty portions. It was a sat down fish and chip shop just the other side of the city.
Excellent.
Really nice. And I got in and just went straight to bed. I was just wiped me out, but I had a good kip on it.
Good evening, William.
Well, the backbone of YouTube strikes again.
Oh dear. So anyway, I'm sorry to tell you that I just received an email very short time ago from Eki. His mother is ill and he's not going to be with us tonight. Sorry to say.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. And Samuel is lying in his bedroom, zonked out, absolutely exhausted. So he's not going to be with us either.
Cool. I hope he's not having nightmares about Dracula.
Oh, yeah. So it's just the three of us then, guys. Unless we can get anybody on from the chat who would like to come on. But I don't think so.
The Three Amigos.
The Three Amigos. That was a great film. I thoroughly enjoyed that when I saw it. And I didn't know any of those comedians at the time, so made it even better. So anyway, will we just begin this discussion?
Aye, wait. What's Sensum got? What's with the gimp mask on his avatar?
That's actually Bela Lugosi Dracula. Must be a couple of years ago now. Bonnie Lad did a stream, which was the sort of the Universal Studios horror, like Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, The Mummy, those kind of things. And Tam did a series of avatars for it, and I thought, you know what, I'll reuse that one because it's really good.
Yeah,
but it is Bela Lugosi, not Chris Lee. But I thought, I'll use it.
well, it's very effective for your own logo. It works very well.
And this is pre-AI. You should see some of the stuff he's generating now with that AI thing. I know it's a cheat sort of thing, but Tam's sort of naturally gifted anyway. But
who's this? I don't know this person.
Scottish Tam. You know Scottish Tam?
No.
Yeah, you do. He's the third part of our Three Amigos, the Bonnie Lads Three Amigos stream. Right. So it's me, Bonnie Lad, and Scottish Tam.
Well, I haven't actually ever spoken to him singularly.
You may not have spoken to him, but yeah, he's just literally come back because I think he's changed jobs, so he's got a little more free time on a weekend. So both Bonnie Lad and Tam had a bit of a hiatus away from the Saturday streams. So I was basically covering them, but I mean, essentially the Saturday streams was always Bonnie Lad's stream. So I do a one on a Monday night now instead. Well, I'm the backbone of YouTube now. Oh dear, I'm dobbing myself in front of William now because I'm basically saying I'm doing Friday, Saturday, and Monday.
Exactly. That'll be a hard one to walk back on.
Yeah, I'm on every night. It's like, you can ask. I'll tell you what, Toffee will tell. I mean, the message I got off Bonnie Lad, which was, I think, I don't know if it was early morning. I'd have to double check. But he said, I'm okay to stream this week. Are you still okay? And that was yesterday. But obviously, I didn't. I finished work, went out with the lad, and we had a really nice meal. And I had a few. Oh, I'll tell you what, it's a lovely beer, St. Cuthbert's Pale Ale. It's not an Indian Pale Ale. It's just a Pale Ale. And it's lovely. I had 3 bottles of this 500 milliliter bottles of St. Cuthbert's Pale Ale, and it's 5.6%, which is not outrageously strong, but with a belly full of lovely fish and chips, mushy peas, and a slice of brown, a round of bread, as I call it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you get in, and it's like, right, off to bed, see ya. So I literally went to bed, and then I got up and then checked my, like I say, it was mid-after. Well, I had a little bit of I was supposed, because we're supposed to have a lunch hour, but when you're sat in your arse in front of a screen, it tends not to happen. So I got a little bit of a hiatus, and I thought, I'll tell you what, I better nip on my machine, my own personal computer, and check to see Telegram, because I don't know what's occurring Saturday. And it was just, there it was, message from yesterday, I don't know what time, saying, are you okay to stream? So I sent him one back saying, yeah, I'm okay to stream, mate. He's confirmed it. So, that will be tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock. And oh no. And then I think I'm on 42 streams straight after that as well.
No, there you go. Oh, you're definitely.
I'm never on YouTube, am I?
Hey, I don't just make these things up. He is the
Obviously not, William. He's got a big shovel digging himself a big hole.
There would be no YouTube without Sensum. It just would not exist.
And in other news,
is there other news?
Yeah, just a bit of housekeeping. I suppose I better do it, hadn't I? So it's Bonnie Lad tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. with somebody who may look like me, but it's just an AI me.
All right. Okay.
I'm not the backbone of YouTube. And then 42 will be streaming at 10:30. And that might be Neil Oliver. It won't be me. Honest, it won't be me. Sunday night at 7:00, it's Ragnar Ironspear, and he's doing his end of the month stream with Matt the Angry Bootnet, which are always great streams. And then at 8:30.
Don't forget Monday.
Yeah, and well, I was going to say, and then at 8:30 on Sunday.
Oh gosh.
It's Scott's Armour, Resisting the Lies, and I think No Chance in the, a stream with the lads on Sunday. Then obviously 8:00, me, Toffee, and DJ. I'm not the backbone of YouTube. And as I always say, John, you can always catch John Davidson streams on Tuesdays and Fridays, as and when John feels like streaming. So I always make sure I get that one in there as well.
Well, I appreciate that.
But I'm not always on YouTube, honest governor. It just happens to be.
It just seems that way.
Well, at the end of the month, we've got the movie stream. We've got 42's end of the month stream, and obviously Bonnie Lad doing Saturday nights now. I'm usually on his stream. Like it is the Three Amigos stream, me, Tam, and Bonnie Lad. So, and then I've got the stream on Monday with me, DJ, and I tell you what, I put, they'll tell you this themselves. I put together a rake of stories which I think are going to be good, and we usually just waffle for like an hour, which is great because it's where all the fun stuff is. Because when you look at all the stories that you get, I mean, there are a few funny ones that are just naturally funny, but most of them are horrendous. So we're just there to sprinkle a little bit of icing sugar on those black pills. Do you know what I mean?
Good.
Yeah. Anyway, Dracula was saying.
Yes. We are going to review Dracula. Okay. 1957, 58, I think it was made. Now, normally I ask the person who put the film up for the review why it was chosen. So that's me asking myself the question. So why did I put this up? Lots of different reasons, but one of them, believe it or not, was I was fairly confident that either everyone in the chat will have seen this film, or if there was anyone who hadn't seen it, it would be very few, because it's a well-loved film and it's been around a long time now. So I was fairly confident that most people in chat could then join in if they wish, because they will have seen the film. And that's not always the case when we're doing these film reviews. That was one reason. The second reason was, like most other people, especially on that first one, I think Christopher Lee was well cast in the part, along with, of course, Peter Cushing. And of course, it was the very first Dracula done in colour. I didn't know that at the time, of course, because I was, believe it or not, folks, I was still a boy in school when I saw that for the first time. And it was on a rerun round the cinemas. It was doing a second showing, and therefore it appeared in the cinema that used to be across the street from where I lived. And they would let me in, knowing fine well that I was not the age for viewing such material. But I got in, and that Saturday night, I went back to the cinema what time would it be? Around 10:15. I spoke to the man very politely, and he gave me the poster for the movie and the colour still photographs that used to be outside the cinema advertising the movie that was playing. So I well remembered the film for many, many different reasons. Um, and that's why I recommended it, because I was quite confident most people would have seen it. And that would allow more people to take part in the review. So, what did you think of it, William, the film?
Oh, there we go. To be honest, I had never seen it, so it was a first for me.
Ah,
And when I think Sensum told me first, Dracula 1958, and I thought, fucking hell, black and white. So, so I was quite impressed that it was in
No.
color. That was a bonus for me. I think the one before that was in black and white. It came out in the 30s, I think.
But Bella, yes, it's black and white, sure.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a first for me. Felt it was a wee bit short, but enjoyed it. I'm not a big fan of.
It's
Yeah.
it reads long. Don't you're quite right. It doesn't waste any time.
Yeah, so
Movies, it just
I'm
race
not
along.
a big fan of horrors, but I enjoyed it. It was good.
I also thought when I picked this one that might be the case that you wouldn't have seen it. So I was right about that. Sensum, I'm sure you've got a bit more to say than that on this movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know how many there were in the series of the Christopher Lee Draculas, because I know they went from 58
7.
to when sorry?
I think he did 7.
Up to, I think, was it 72?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah, so
there was quite a few.
I mean, in fairness, I can't remember what the last one was called, but it was, they were all pretty decent films. It was just you were after the first one, because obviously the first one it isn't the archetypal sort of death, which we'll probably cover later on, than what you would assume with vampire films. And so when the second one came out, I can't remember, was that Prince of Darkness? I can't remember the series, but it was quite interesting.
The second one was actually The Brides of Dracula, and he wasn't in it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even about Dracula.
Yeah. But when the next film that Christopher Lee came back in, it was sort of the resurrection sequence.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And every time there was a new, or because I remember on BBC Two when I was a kid growing up in sort of the early to mid 80s, they'd have a tranche of either they'd do a double bill on BBC Two, so you'd get a double bill of the like the Universal one, so you would get say Dracula, the original one with Bela Lugosi, followed by the original Frankenstein, because I think they were only 70 odd minutes long or something, so you'd do a double bill of those.
Yeah.
And then further on down the line, they would show the full series of the Christopher Lee franchise of the Dracula films. And when we watched them, it was always trying to work out how will they bring the bugger back this time.
That was it. That was the nail.
But once he was back, it was back to back to business
as usual. Yeah, it was always about How are they going to bump them off, and how are they going to bring them back?
Yeah.
Good stuff, of course. Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
here's my
so
phone going off. I shall mute this.
okay, Sense. So, William.
That's his boss at YouTube.
So, what did you make of uh, the music?
I quite liked it, actually. I thought it. Sometimes I tend to think, especially in horrors that I've watched in the past, that they can I guess, emphasize music at certain points, like to an extent where you know what's going to happen by the music. And yeah, I thought it was quite good. Yeah, I wouldn't knock it.
Good.
It's probably
well,
not. It's probably not a soundtrack that I would buy the album for. To be
No.
fair, but
Believe it or not, that's something I have never done ever.
yeah,
It would never occur to me to do that for any movie.
I think I got I don't know if you've seen Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
I bought the album for that, and I bought the album for Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels because the music in it for me it was great. So I've got them still on CD. But yeah, it was good even for a short film. I thought it was. I kind of wanted to watch it again after
Well,
I'd watched it.
that's a good sign, because what they do, of course, is they don't pay any real attention to the novel. Have you read the novel by any chance? No.
I don't think I have. I know it was based on a book, but
I'd be
possibly,
surprised.
yeah, maybe touched on it in school, but not in my adult life.
Well, in the novel, of course, um, the castle Dracula is not set in England. He is actually set in Transylvania, and the Harker character, who we see at the very start of the movie, has to travel from England, from London, to Transylvania because he's conducting some business for the Count. So you have this long journey in the novel to get to the castle. And obviously then that long journey is repeated when Dracula leaves the castle to come to England. But of course, Hammer just scrap all of that. And now Castle Dracula is just sort of up the road a bit. It's a short coach ride away, and there's the castle.
That did actually cross my mind because I do know. Well, I did know that it was in Transylvania, and I thought, well, what did he just get there by horse and cart?
They just ignore all that.
Yeah, in a matter of no time. And it was quite funny because when he got there, he's like kind of narrating, and he said, "Oh, the carriage driver wouldn't take me to the destination," and I thought, "Hey, that was your flag to go back home, turn around, go back home. If the bus driver or the carriage driver won't take you there, it's probably for a reason."
There's a good reason why you shouldn't be going there. Well, that does echo it from the book. I mean, all of that's in the book, but not quite in the way it's presented to us by Hammer. Yeah. They have, as I say, they've just ditched so much by the way they present it. But for people who have never read the novel, and that's most of the audience, this is what I have found in my lifetime, that even the people my generation had never read the novel. I mean, I've read the Dracula novel many times, Frankenstein likewise, and Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
And of course these are three novels that have been turned into many variations and films. So if you haven't read the novel, you won't really be aware that what Hammer has done here.
You know,
But
and can I just interject there,
yeah,
John? Because
yeah,
I'll forget
carry on,
otherwise. It's
carry on.
very similar. Because I've read Dracula and I've read Frankenstein, and funnily enough, I was just listening to the audio book versions of them. There was a freebie on this. I use this Audible thing, so I get books every month, and there was a freebie, which was all of the classics, like the full narrated version of Dracula, the full narrated version of Frankenstein, What people don't realize is that Frankenstein, yes, it has some horrific moments in it, but the essence of Frankenstein is a tragedy.
Yeah,
It's
of
not.
course.
It's not a horror as such. But so I was listening to that, quite recently. So, but it's no different to Peter Benchley's Jaws, because how Quint dies in the film, the famous film that Steven Spielberg did, and how he actually dies in the book are completely different to one another. Yeah.
Sure.
And Benchley said to Spielberg, "Oh, you're going to basically bugger it all up." And Spielberg says, "Mate, I tell you something now. If I've got them at this point, they'll love that ending." And it was right. So
Sure.
when I actually, because I probably had seen the film before because we read Jaws, I think, when we were in high school. So it was before you did like the final 2 years. I can't remember which year it was. And the novel, there are loads of different, not loads, but there are areas in the novel which, if you hadn't read it, you wouldn't care. So watching Jaws in the film, it's like, oh, this is brilliant. One of the best movies, even though the mechanical effects were less than convincing in certain instances. In particular, you didn't care because you were captivated by the moment, and the acting was so good, so you didn't care. And then when you read the book, you think, hold on a minute, he doesn't die like that at all. He gets chomped by the shark. It's like, yeah, no, yeah. Yeah. So I won't spoil the book for anybody who wants to read it, but let's just say there are several things in the novel that were little eyebrow raisers, especially with regards to Matt Hooper, the Richard Dreyfuss character. Right. And this is no different. In fairness, John, I don't know about, I've read Dracula. I read it probably when I was in my late teens. And then I thought, something, most of that book's a bit dry because it's all written as a series of journals and diaries.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a bit dry. So probably 10, 15 years later when I was working away, I thought, I'm going to give Dracula another try. And I'd lost my original, so I bought, I think it was like $1.99 Penguin book. But it was the full book, and I reread it. I thought, yeah, I understand it more now. I understand little bits more now, but it's still a bit dry. I'd rather have the film version, please, because there was some. In fairness, the ones that stick in your mind the most, obviously, is Christopher Lee, because he was quite a formidable character in stature. I think he was like 6'4" or something. He was really tall bloke, and he had those beautiful. Because he was from Italian royalty, Chris Lee. He was from Italian royalty, so he had that, that sort of noble look as well about him, and he carried it off brilliantly. So, but there was one of the ones. Do you remember, John? I can't remember if it was the very late 70s or the early 80s. A BBC dramatization of Dracula with Louis Jourdan in as the Dracula.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
that was good. Superb. That was superb.
It was very good. And he was very good in it.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
And Jack Palance has done it.
Yeah, I remember the Jack Palance one. I wasn't so keen on that one, but the Frank Langella one was very good, which came out a little bit later than the Louis Jordan. But I think everybody in the Dogs had a bit of a go at Dracula, haven't it? One point, one point or another.
I see here. I mean, that's nice to know that Toffee's actually read the novel.
Yeah. I like I say, the good bits are good, but the other bits are just dry. Oh, my darling Mina, I am writing to you here from this. You know, can you get to the bite you in the neck bit, please?
Yeah, but you see, this is where you have to, if to try and appreciate something like that, you have to then accept that you're reading a piece that was written in another era with all the sensitivities and sensibilities of that era in the novel. And so this is what you get. Everything's a bit, as you say, very formal, even in the letters and the journals. The language between the characters is quite formal, quite dry, as you say, which doesn't work when it's put on the big screen. It doesn't work. That's one of the many flaws in the Bela Lugosi version, the Browning version. It's the language is too formal, too archaic, and it doesn't work on that big screen. It may have been okay on the stage because that's where they got that from. That was just Hollywood. Universal just bought it lock, stock, and barrel, and that was written for the stage, and that's what comes across in that film. But oddly enough, if you ever get to see the Spanish version, and I saw it a couple of years back because my pal in Glasgow's got it, and we watched it one afternoon.
It's better than the Lugosi one, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, that's a tragedy. Poor old Bela. He's getting lumbered with this other director. He could have done very well with the chap who produced or directed the Spanish version. He's so much better at it. He's not frightened to move the camera. So yeah, poor old Bela gets a wee bit sidelined on that one, I have to say. But we're not going to be talking about Bela. We're talking about Christopher Lee. And again, from my point of view, you got to remember, I was only about 14 when I saw this for the first time. And I had already read the novel. I read these novels while I was still a schoolboy, and had bought them myself and read them, in bed, all of this stuff, creepy, and thoroughly enjoyed it all. So to go to the cinema and see Christopher Lee in colour on the big screen like that was quite something. And one of the other things that impressed me about that particular film, I don't think it quite happens in any of the others, but it does in that first one. And I don't know if anybody has noticed it, but when Dracula appears and he's walking about, you don't hear his feet, you don't hear his footsteps. There are no footsteps for Dracula in that first one. They meticulously went back and took those sounds out, which I was quite impressed by. They're trying to stick to the vampire legend.
Could I just, because Eki sent a few comments, could I read one of
carry on.
Because the first bit he says there are a lot of shifts from the novel, so Eki's obviously read it as well.
Yeah.
And then he goes into some of the changes, like the reason for Harker going to the castle.
Mm-hmm.
We know he was going there to sell him a house. Well, he was going there
to
He
settle
was going,
the sale. It's
he
all
was going
tied
there
up.
as a lawyer to
Get him to sign it.
administer the transfer of deeds, blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah. So in this one here, because like I say, he turns and goes, "Oh yeah, Count Dracula. Oh, this is wonderful. Thank you for my lovely room." And then he goes in his diary and says, "And we'll be rid of this particular demon." But one of Ecky's comments, which I think parallels what you're just saying, and hence why I thought I'd better just come in with what Ecky said. He says Christopher Lee was brilliant as Dracula. I love how he floated through every scene. He even took the steps in pairs without looking down, like
Oh,
he
yeah.
was gliding through everything. Well, I don't know if you remember, or there was, because obviously they've done. There's been documentaries on the Hammer series and the Dracula series, but apparently, so that cape remained relatively stuck. When Christopher Lee was walking around, the cape wasn't blowing and billowing around all over the place.
No.
Somebody said that the way that they designed that cape, or the material that they used, and they put weights in it, was like 80 pounds.
Yeah.
So it gave that appearance
So
of
it just comes down.
it just stayed straight down. Yeah, apparently it was about 80 pounds in weight that to wear.
No, I can
'Cause they actually-
testify to that, since
Yeah,
because I've got a cloak, not a cape, a cloak. There is a difference. And
Yeah.
my cloak is the same length on me as that cloak that Christopher Lee wears in those films. In other words, it's almost at my ankles. And
Yeah.
I can assure you that when you're standing there with it on, it just comes down like that, because my late wife, made it meticulously so that it would do that.
Yeah.
But what doesn't happen unless I make it happen, because I learned this from the background of the films, is that there's one shot of Christopher Lee leaving the castle, and we see him, and the cloak's away out here behind him, and he's taking those giant steps that he took, and he's walking away from the camera, and the cloak's away out. Now I know that to achieve that, what he was doing is his hands, both hands or arms, should I say, are outstretched, and he's got a hold of the inside of the cloak to make it stay out there, so that when he's walking, the cloak billows out behind him. And I've done that with my own cloak. That does work that way. So yeah, in conjunction with the fact that they've cut out his footstep sounds, you get that impression that he's not actually walking; he's somehow floating along about 2 inches off the ground. And that's right out of the legends. It's how they're supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's interesting that Eki picked up on that.
Yeah, like I say, it was a point that was worth mentioning anyway, because it was at the, with you mentioning it as well, I think it's, the no footsteps, and Eki saying it's sort of floated, even taking the steps 2 at a time, which, that all adds to the, the mystique, if you like, of the craft.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're going to do that, comparison between Christopher Lee and Bela Lugosi, you don't hear Bela Lugosi when he's walking. You don't hear his footsteps either, but neither do you hear Harker's footsteps. So it's lost, and it wasn't very well done, I don't think, that in that opening scene when he's in the castle and Dracula walks up the stairwell with the candelabra and the candles are lit, and he walks through the big spider web without breaking it. The way it was shot, the effect is almost lost. in fact. You know the shot I'm talking about? And we see Harker at the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah.
And when
Is
it,
this
when,
just
sorry,
is this just after he's had his first encounter with the lady? Or are you talking about the Bela Lugosi one?
I'm talking about the Bela one.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. This is just before he says, "The children of the night." What
That's right.
music they sing?
Yeah, because he's halfway up the stairs
Yeah,
when he does that. They howl and he pauses and he makes that famous
Yeah.
speech.
yeah,
However, he's already through the cobwebs
yes.
and they're not broken.
And then Harker has to go through them.
And he realizes he's got to go through them, and his eyes are popping out here. But it's because of the way it's shot. It's, you know, such a brilliant idea. It's kind of lost.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Oh, he's going away. Right, Steve, you take care, my friend. Nice speaking to you the other day. I'll show the troops the photographs probably on Tuesday. Okay. And we'll speak again soon. It was nice for you to be here tonight. Appreciate that. You take care, my friend. And tell that boy of yours I was asking for him. So what did you think, William, then, of the entrance that Christopher Lee makes as Dracula? The very first time we see him.
Yeah, quite impressed. It was, I mean, for someone who had a very little dialogue, he could totally stand out the whole way through. And like I said before, when the carriage wouldn't take you to the destination, I thought that was a bit of a red flag. Then Harker's in his room, and it's like, yeah, he's being really nice to him. Then he locks him in. he locks the door, and I thought, that's definitely a sign to get out of there. But then you begin to find out that he's actually there he's going to try and take Dracula out, basically.
Yeah.
And of course he falls victim to this beautiful woman, like we all do.
Yeah, like we all do. A very good point there, William. That's that. That was my info.
Yeah, he stood out the whole way. But I can't remember. I know he had a good bit of dialogue at the start, but then I think there was very little. But even with no dialogue, it might have made him stand out even more.
I think the thing about the way that they approached the whole subject, Hammer, so long as Christopher Lee worked in the part, in the costume that he was wearing, they didn't really need him to say very much, because we've got one over on the Harker character. We know Dracula is a villain. We know he's a vampire. And in the Hammer film, Harker is pretending that he doesn't know what Dracula is when Dracula's about.
Yeah.
It's only when, as you say, when he's doing the journal and he's doing the voiceover, we know. Well, we know even before he meets Dracula that he's there to kill him.
Yeah.
He says it.
What caught my eye the most was the stare that he had. It was like a spooky, creepy stare that looked right through you. And I thought, bloody hell, I'm going to be having a nightmare, and this guy's going to pop up. He's going to be looking right at me. So, cheers, John.
Yeah. Well, of course, he does make a terrible error, and this is one of the big flaws in the film, I think, and I'm sure you'll have something to say about this one, Sensum. The big flaw is he's got the wooden stakes and he's got the hammer and he goes away down and there's two coffins. Now, my mind says, I'm there. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to kill Drac first. Drac's getting it first because he is a real big danger here. Drac, not the female. We'll deal with her secondly. But of course, in the film, it's the other way around. And that's how Harker gets caught, because he chooses to stake out the woman first. Do you not think that was a really lame way of doing that scene, Sensum?
Yeah, I'm trying to picture when he comes down the stairs. Was he just looking at her as he come down the stairs and didn't necessarily see Dracula? Or I can't remember if he...
No, he knows that both of them are there.
Both, yeah, well...
Because he goes to the coffin. He goes to Dracula's coffin, and then he goes to the woman's coffin, and he opens up the parcel where the wooden stakes are and the hammer.
Yeah. Maybe he thought that was the wisest move, so that he wouldn't necessarily get lumbered by being named the father on an illegitimate baby, which, you know, he would be. Which is far more dicey than any old Dracula. You know, he said, yeah, I'll deal with Dracula first, but first of all, I need to get this, this baby trapper out the way. Yeah, no, I would in that. Well, first of all, in that same position, I literally wouldn't be there. I would be getting hammered like 2,000 miles away in a hamlet in London or something.
You're not volunteering.
But let me just check what, because when you're talking about the ladies, I know that Eki made a little bit of a comment about the lady folk on the film who. They were portrayed as harridans, weren't they, really? They were like, sort of, oh, I've got the butterflies for Dracula. But that's, in fairness, you know, that is pretty much how the book is.
I was going to say that, because what is always overlooked, and you might be interested in this nugget of information, William, is that in the novel, Harker is seduced by the three ladies. There's three ladies in the castle in the novel.
His daughters, yeah.
Yeah. And Harker is seduced by the three of them sexually. And wherever they are on his body, they are using their fangs to extract blood. Now, it's always struck me as being obvious that oral sex is what's going on here, but it's never explicitly mentioned in the novel. But it's as near as makes no difference the way Stoker describes what the women are up to, because Harker gets to a point. The reason he can't leave the castle is because he's too weak. Too much blood has been taken from him. And he's enjoying it, and he's enjoying the seduction from these three women.
Yep, I can believe that. I did read that because of the gore and censorship at the time, they cut a lot of what they originally made. They cut it out and shortened a lot of it. And I thought it would have been interesting to see what they originally created before it got watered down and put out. I wonder if it was due to the censorship, they had to adapt it from the book a lot more. If the book's a bit more like that.
Without it being graphically so, yes, it's definitely more than gently suggested that this is what's happening to Harker. He's being seduced sexually by these three women.
I
did wonder why Sensum liked the book so much, but there you go, yeah.
Well, you haven't read it. You give it a read, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it as well.
because, like I say, it was the late 19th century when the novel came out, and
That's correct.
obviously we were still in the mid of the Victorian era. It became very prudish once Prince Albert passed away. You know, the nation became a nation of prudes and mourners, basically. You know, because that's how the Queen wanted it. I mean, she used to like the lad in more than anybody else. I mean, she had like 7 kids or something. Queen Vic, you know, you know, they didn't have much. I mean, they were together for 20 years because Albert obviously died in his 40s through typhus. They didn't have many nights where she wasn't sort of getting banged to death by.
Yes, but you have to remember that in a wider social sense, Victorians were absolutely obsessed about blood.
Yeah, and
that's part of why a lot of the material that's in that book is in that book.
And also the sort of the psychology side. I did make a little quip in the comments earlier that the notion of the biting of the neck, in other words, the penetration of the skin, was a metaphor for sex.
Yeah.
But they couldn't write about that. I mean, I know that Chatterley's Lover had been out and all that lot, but you know, in the Victorian era, it wasn't a done thing, chap. So you know, you had all these people reading Dracula, and you know, that's what it was. That was a metaphor for the you know, the
sexual intercourse,
the sexual act and infidelity, essentially. You know, that's what it was for. But Eki goes, it's funny that the women of the movie all perform evil and treacherous acts. 2 of the 3 are victims who turn evil, but they are sources of evil. I can't help thinking there's something in this. So there's Eki's high brain on that one, working overtime.
No comment.
Just the answer, Trevor M. Yeah, these were X-rated movies.
Yeah.
And the point that William was making, Treble M, may very well be part of the usual damage that censorship brings to artwork. And I regard film to be an artwork. So we don't know what's been lost, if anything, because in all the years, I've seen many documentaries about Hammer and about these films, and I cannot ever recall anyone talking about what was cut out, and if it was cut out, it wasn't very much. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know what got cut out, but I did read it had to basically be watered down, and I kind of thought maybe that's why it was so short. But was that an average for a film of that time, the time it went?
Well, no, it was actually a bit short even for those days. It should be usually an hour and a quarter, hour and 20 for your average movie, Western or love romance. It would be that kind of hour 15, hour 20. They were short, but I must confess, I don't remember noticing that at the time, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you got to remember, I was 14 when I saw it for the first time, so I'm going back a long time.
It's when that scene when he walks down into the sort of basement and he does see Dracula, then he goes to the lady's coffin. I did wonder, well, why is he killing her first? She's clearly going to scream and cause a scene. And you know, when he put the stake in, and then she turned into like a really old woman, That was like the creepiest scene ever for me. That was the scene that I'm going to probably have nightmares about. It was just, they done that really well. I thought, Jesus, that's a bit creepy, that. But
because that's the sort of thing that hadn't been done before. In the Universal approach to these movies, what you would more likely get would be a skeleton. An actual skeleton would be there.
Yeah.
You know, they would make a cut and then put a skeleton in it in the actor's place, and then they would take you to that. This aging thing was something new, something different, and as you say, very well done and very creepy. So, yeah, it worked very well, but it's just a weakness in the storytelling of it. If they had, if they had a bit more time to devise a stronger way to explain why he doesn't go for Dracula first, because it's all said in that scene. Because of the time we hear her screaming and we see her as an old lady, we get the clouds are passing in front of the sun, and it's getting dark, and Drax lying there with his eyes open, ready to do the business. And suddenly Harker himself realizes he's made a terrible error. He's done for. And the other thing that doesn't make sense in that film, again, I'm going to ask Sensom to give me his opinion, because I would have imagined, if this were to be real, that Jonathan Harker would have had a cross, you know, either a rosary around him or a big cross so he could have held it up in front of Drac, but he doesn't have that. What do you think, Sensom?
Yeah, I can't remember because because in that scene, isn't he disturbed again by that woman or something, and he ends up running down the stairs? Or
no, he's where he is. He can't go anywhere. There's only one.
No, because he's just woken up late, hasn't he?
Yeah,
because he was exhausted off the fight and whatever have you.
Right.
Yeah,
and it's so late in the afternoon.
And but when he realizes he's late, he's still tired. So,
correct.
He might not have.
Yeah, but you would have thought, wouldn't you, if it were real, he would have had a cross.
Well, yeah. But when he realized the time, he just wanted to get down there and try and wipe them out. So maybe, I mean, unless you're a Catholic, because I think Catholics wear the cross, don't they? I don't think it's a particularly Protestant.
It's more Catholic than it is Protestant. Put it that way.
To wear a cross.
See, in my younger days, I used to say, when we were talking about this film and talking about Dracula in general, I would always say, the thing I don't understand about Dracula is, why didn't he move to a Muslim country where they don't bother with crosses?
Good point. Maybe they like garlic.
Or is it simply that the cross is a symbol of the divine, and perhaps the Muslim sign would have been equally as potent, but I don't think so. And remember, the author is a Jewish man. Let us not forget that.
Maybe there's not enough dark in the night in that side.
Well, he should have moved up to the Scandinavian countries.
Yeah, it's interesting because his friend, what is it, Helson, he had a cross, and they both appeared to be well read on how to try and take a vampire down. So, yeah, quite surprising. Just going back to why he maybe went for the lady first.
Yes.
She had approached him and said, "Look, can you
help me?
Yeah, can you free me from here? I'm trapped." So maybe that entered his mind and he thought, right, I'll free her
Yeah, it
because
could be.
he might have promised, look, I'll help you. And then, of
Got
course,
caught.
if he killed Dracula, then it might have been the end of the movie.
Well, as Duck is pointing out, Duck is just pulling me back here, of course, quite rightly. It's only a bloody film, right? It's only a film. And we need to keep Dracula to the end. Yeah. I'm just saying, there's certain things when you look at movies, especially horror movies, they appear to be set up so well, and yet a secondary look shows you it's filled with all sorts of problems, at least in my view. But having said all that, they were limited with budget and time, believe it or not, even back then. What was your opinion, Sensum, in the overall look of the film?
Well, I'll give you my opinion, but let me just read out what Eki says, because once again, we're at a point where a little Eki interlude wouldn't go amiss.
Uh-huh.
Still, it was great. I like the cinematography. Even the oddly cheesy sets were neat.
Oh,
There's a part of me that loves a rush production. Everything has to be pared down for the sake of expediency. You end up with critical choices and only the most important details are allowed in. It was clearly a B movie intended for shock and spectacle, and there's something about it that I love. So I think that's quite an endearing comment to make about what we saw there. And if you remember that I can't remember which one it was, John. You probably remind me, but it's the one where the two couples turn up at Castle Dracula.
yeah. Dracula has risen from the grave.
Yeah, and that same set of stairs are there ready to use.
Exactly.
And
sorry, there you go.
well, those same sets were used time and time again by Hammer.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
For everything, for loads of things.
I was going to say, even in that very film, the stairs that he's standing at the top of when we see him for the first time are the same stairs that are in the graveyard where Lucy is.
Yeah.
that is that set.
Yeah.
Except it's got all that greenery in it now.
Yeah. And also, do you remember? There's not many people who remember. There was a film that was brought out years ago. Well, late 60s. It was Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski, The Fearless Vampire Hunters. Yeah, I don't know if you remember that one. Yeah, I love that film. I've actually got the DVD of that. That's a brilliant film. It's a really good film. Even though Polanski himself, falls short, shall we say? He's still a great filmmaker in certain respects. But when that was, because in America that was released as Dance of the Vampires.
Was it?
Yeah. But over here in Britain, they couldn't use Dance of the Vampires because there was already a Hammer film out called Dance of the Vampires. And it was the one where the older guy who tended to be in loads of Hammer films as like the old professor or whatever. And he, in Dance of Vampire, it's the one where he pours neat alcohol on a bite he's taken to the wrist, and then he gets a red hot poker and sears cauterizes the wound in his arm. And for love or money, can I find that film? Because I'd love to rewatch it again.
Yeah.
Do you remember the film, a Hammer film called The Gorgon, about the Medusa, basically?
Yeah.
Well, at the beginning of that, he's the professor who sees the Gorgon and sort of before he turns to stone gets back and tries to write a little bit of a diary down. It's the same guy who plays effectively the Van Helsing character in Dance of the Vampires. But if you put Dance of the Vampires in, because obviously the Yank release of Fearless Vampire Killers was called Dance of the Vampires. That's the only one you tend to get. So I'll try.
Sure.
Maybe it's on. Maybe it's on our usual site that we use for these films. But that same staircase once again turns up in Dance of the Vampires. You know, the British Hammer version. It's.
I can believe it.
Yeah. You know, there's. I would say at least. Well, I'm certain they. Do you remember? Ollie Reed's first role as the Wolfman in the Hammer House of Horror film, The Wolfman.
Of course I do. Curse of the Werewolf.
Curse of the Werewolf, yeah.
Yep.
That staircase is inside the main hall.
That's right.
Yeah, it's just, you know.
I don't know how the hell they got that to Spain. Yeah, it's the same there.
Yeah, so it's been used everywhere. One thing I wasn't certain of, do you know, because Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, they did a Frankenstein where Peter Cushing was
Frankenstein.
Dr. Frankenstein and Christopher Lee was the monster.
Yeah.
Was that before or after Dracula, the 58 Dracula?
No, that was before.
Ah. Because didn't Chris Lee also play the Mummy as well in a Hammer
Yes,
film?
he did indeed. I had that poster as well. I had those 3 posters. I'll tell you something. To me, it's interesting. It might not be interesting to anyone else here. But if you have a look or a watch of that Hammer movie, it's called The Curse of Frankenstein. That's the title of it.
That's the one with Chris Lee in,
They did something with the colour in that film. And I noticed it instantly.
It was very green, wasn't it? Like a greenish hue to it.
And I think what happened is that was accidental. I think there was something when a bit wrong in the processing. I think the temperature control was a bit off, because in those days the temperature had to be absolutely spot on to get the colour correct. And I think it was a bit off, and it has this odd colour about it. I thought it was a great effect that they had, but I'm not 100% confident that it was accidental. I just don't know, but I noticed it because the second film they made was the Dracula one, and it's not there. It seems to be more straightforward colour. But if you look at the Curse of Frankenstein, I'm sure you will see this difference in the colour. White's not quite white. It's just an interesting visual thing for me, being a photographer. You know, I noticed it.
Yeah. You don't want to get Humza started on those whites, mate. To tell you. But no, I know exactly what you mean, because it seemed to have this.
Oh, it has this look about it.
Yellowy greenish hue throughout the entire film.
Yeah.
But it works. It works for that film.
I think it's brilliant. I just thought it was brilliant. I'd never seen anything like that.
It's one of those ones where post-production say, "Oh shit, we've
screwed up
the film. Oh, they're going to kill us." And they play it back and they go, "Oh, it's a neat effect." Oh, yeah. We plan to do that. Do you like it? Yeah. Oh, thank God for that. They like sort of, they think, "Oh, Christ, thank God for that."
Well, Anglo's making a very good point, and we haven't actually discussed this. Now, I think we should let the younger man lead us into this particular conversation. So, what did you think of the cleavage?
The Chebs.
It was.
Yeah,
probably gets a good score. Maybe a bit more would have helped,
it gets more as the series goes on. There's more of it.
I'll have to check them out as well.
Oh yeah, you check them out, William, with a wire measuring tape.
Of course, with me being married, that's never on my mind.
Oh, of course not. Of course not.
But yeah, I thought that all the women in it were, yeah, I wouldn't say no, to be fair. And yeah, I guess you would use quite attractive women for the parts they played. And yeah, the acting I thought wasn't that great with the females. I don't know if that's
No.
because Lee was just so. You were always wondering where he was, what he was doing, waiting to see what he done next.
Well, I
And
can
I think,
assure you.
yeah, I think the other two guys played the part really well. The
Well,
two English guys.
I would just say, I can assure you, at the age of 14, I was looking at the women.
I can imagine.
And the other thing you'll notice, if you do look at it objectively, the way that it's lit, you actually can see through the night dresses that they're wearing, and that's all done deliberate.
I'll have to be watching it again to. You've got a sharper eye than me.
Well,
So
I noticed that, right? Even at 14. But later on, as a photographer, I was looking for it, and I could see it. It's all over the place in Hama. They use that an awful lot because they're obviously aware that the male audience are going to pick up on this. So even in the scenes where you're definitely getting a lot of boobs showing, you're going to get this extra thing if you know where to look, and you get it. It's there.
I'll be watching it again just to yeah, cast an eye. But yeah, it was quite good. I know that when it came to the production, they did. Well, what I read was they did push the boundaries to quite an extent that some people think they maybe crossed the line with the women and with the blood, which I never thought there was much blood, to be honest. But
Well,
obviously,
again,
1958, different story.
yeah, different attitudes. What had gone before was Bela Lugosi, and there's absolutely no blood, and you don't even really see him biting the neck of anybody. So, and if you think of the best scene to illustrate this point, really is Lucy, isn't it? When she's in the bedroom, and she goes over and she opens those what look like French windows, and her night dress is buttoned up to the neck, and she's wearing a cross, and she's looking every bit the 14-year-old innocent. And you see her taking it off, and the music's playing away, and she starts to undo this. And then Dracula appears and seems to float into the room. And yet, when he gets to the point when he's going to bite her, he bends over, and then the cloak goes up. He puts his hat, he's holding on to the cloak, he puts the cloak up, and it acts as a screen between us and what's going on. But it's one of the better scenes to show you what they meant at the time when they're talking about pushing the boundaries. And that's the point. There's not a word spoken, and yet it's very obvious that this young innocent is just longing for what's going to happen to her. And no words are needed. But that whole suggestion had never been done.
Yeah, I did pick up on the kind of suggestive element to it as well. which is quite interesting. Even the simple suggestion of it was frowned upon, and look at where we are today with movies.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what you've got to always remember. And if you go back to the first scene when Harker arrives in the castle, and he's sitting, the big table, the fire's on, there's a half a chicken or something on the plate, and he knocks it off the table and goes down, and he's bent over and he's picking it all up. And what do you see? You see the lower part of the vampire lady that's in the castle, and the camera sweeps up, and as the camera sweeps up, if you look carefully, you'll see the nightdress is backlit, so you can see through it. It's over. It's not. The camera doesn't linger on it. The camera continues to move, but it's there.
That would have been a job for me, placing them lights.
And that's used throughout, that same technique.
That sounds like the 1958 equivalent of the Basic Instinct clip. Everybody, if you're looking for it, why what happened there? You'll have to look back at that one. So you re-rent this 3,000 timed used video, and you get to that bit, and you can track it. Do you remember tracking on VHS and Betamax? You could track it all you wanted. You were never going to get a clear image because it had been worn out.
Ugly Truth. That's a new name for this channel, I must say. Nice to have you here.
Ugly Truth. Yeah, he's a regular. He's a good lad. Yeah. He's Ugly. Let me tell you now. Ugly Truth is the king of the one-liners. He comes out with. Honestly, we've done streams. Generally in the general sense, we've done streams, and he'll chuck in. We'll be talking about something. He'll chuck in a one-liner, and whether it's Bonnie Lad's a little bit more serious, but if it's me, sort of GJ and Toffee or 42 or wherever, we'll be corpsing for like, the term corpsing. We'll be corpsing for like 5 minutes of absolute class one-liners. I doff my cap to you, sir. You're the king of the one-liners. So, but yeah, a good egg, John. A good egg. I've noticed there's another chap in tonight as well, Doberman.
He's been here quite a while.
Yeah, I haven't. I don't think I've been on the stream where I've met Doberman, but he's good mileage as well. He's got some good takes on stuff. So, hello, mate. Hope you're doing well.
But Ugly Truth, this is the first time here. That's
Yeah.
So he's new to me, and he's saying he enjoyed Gary Oldman playing Dracula.
I thought it once again. The thing about the Gary Oldman one is that it's, it doesn't. It sort of tries to put that historical slant of Vlad the Impaler on prior to the Bram Stokery bits, yeah, because obviously Stoker based it on this bloke Vlad the Impaler, or that's what they believe, and so they did that initial bit. And once again, Gary Oldman, a Christian soldier pushing back against the marauding Turks or whatever.
It's the same people that we're fighting against today. It's the same people. Yeah. Exactly the same people.
He's fighting this war. Somebody sends message back that he's fallen in battle. His lifelong love can't take the news and chucks herself off this mountain, and then he arrives there. And that's where he has his slight against God. And then you sort of, that's where it says, how did he become a vampire? Well, because of his slight against God. But in fairness, he was fighting for God. And so he saw that in that particular film, he saw that as a betrayal, and hence why, he turned to the dark side, as it were. The darkness entered him. But that was a really good film. And there was a lot of
It was.
You
It
know,
was.
I know we're talking about the 1958 film, but in that Dracula, you know, the Francis Ford Coppola's Bram
Yeah.
Stoker's Dracula, as it was called.
Yeah.
There was that. What was her name? She was married to Gary Kemp. Her name was Sophie something. I can't remember her second name, but she played Lucy in that film.
Mhm.
And a great effect that they actually did was the bit where they're in the tomb. She's been turned into a vampire.
Oh, the
So they're
candles going on.
well, that one, but also there's a scene where she's stepping backwards, or it looks like she's stepping backwards towards the coffin, and then her dress goes into the coffin first, and then she goes in, and then the lid
Ah, yeah.
behind it. And it was
Yeah,
because it was filmed. It was actually done live, but it was filmed in reverse. So
Yeah.
she actually came out and was walking forwards, but the mannerisms that the director got it, like Coppola got it to do, were so that when it was reversed, it looked natural going backwards. It was once again no CGI, no special effects. It was just a clever idea by a brilliant director, and you know, sort of working out because they would have got people saying, right, well, walk forward, right, and we'll reverse it. Well, it doesn't look right when you go backwards because of this. Therefore, when you walk forward, do this with your arms, and then when they reversed it again, it you know, you know, it looked right in reverse format. Yeah. So
Yeah, but it's not an easy thing to do, as I'm
no,
sure you're well aware. It's not simply going back. It's not that simple. It's more to it than that.
yeah,
The
and
thing that I would the thing that I would criticize that particular film, and I've got that in my collection as well, is Hollywood has absolutely no idea what Victorian is, because that's just a mix in that Gary Oldman film. It's not Victorian and it's not Gothic. It's some kind of in between jam.
yeah.
It's neither one or the other. But that's typical Hollywood. They can never get the Victorian correct.
Yeah, yeah, I think it takes a particular mindset. Like Oldman's outfit, even though he was sort of bohemian, was still quite out there. You know, that's blue suede suit with the blue tinted lens glasses.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine there would have been anybody floating around in Victorian era Britain wearing such. Like I say, he was supposed to be pretending to be a bohemian, as it were. But yeah, I tell you, you know, just sort of before we come back to Dracula, another one. You know, remember Nosferatu the Vampire, which was the 1920s one, which obviously was silent.
Yep.
They'd actually approached the Stoker estate, and because they were still making decent bank from the book sales, etc., said, no, you can't have the rights to this film. But obviously, it must have dried up a bit by the 30s because Universal bought the rights soon enough. But there was a BBC production, I think, from the late 90s. I'm pretty sure it was the late 90s. Called Shadow of the Vampire, and it was John Malkovich.
That's a film. That's a film.
Yeah,
Stencil. I've seen
yeah,
that film. In fact,
yeah.
I've got that one in my collection as well.
Well, that was sort of the F.R. Murnau. That was the story of the F.R. Murnau filming Nosferatu, and Willem Dafoe playing Max Schreck. In other words, the Nosferatu character was brilliant. And also, I'll tell you now, even though he's an absolute libtard, Eddie Izzard played a good role in that film as well, because he played the Jonathan Harker character in the Count Orlok version of Dracula in that one there. Eddie Izzard was really good in that film. That was a good film, and that was a fully funded BBC production.
Yeah.
Probably before they were too ultra woke.
Yeah, well, that's true. No, as I say, I've got that in my collection. I saw that actually in the cinema.
Yeah.
My friend in Glasgow and I, and Jerry, who's no longer with us, we went to see that. And I was very impressed with it. Great idea to make a film about making a film about Dracula. I thought it was excellent. Yeah, incredibly well done. Lots of good effects as well. Very good. And held together very well, and not all of them do. So yeah, that's a good one. And BBC have made another version of Dracula, and this time what they did was they concentrated on the sea journey from Transylvania to Whitby. That's the main part of the whole piece, is that journey. But by that time, I no longer.
Is it the Demeter or something? The ship
Demeter, yeah.
Is that the one with Liam Cunningham in as the rain?
I don't know, since by that time I had no television and no signal.
The Demeter, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Voyage of the or Sailing or Voyage of the Demeter, one of the things. But BBC, a couple of years ago, even did a series like I think it was a 6-part or 3-part Dracula series, and that was just completely and utterly woke crap.
That's the one. Is that not the one that concentrates on the journey from Transylvania to Whitby?
I don't know, because I didn't actually watch that BBC one, because it was basically before it had even come out. Yeah, the BBC's press and that, BBC to showcase bisexual proclivities of Dracula in new series, and I'm like, yeah, I'm out. Sorry.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I want those, like these 1958 voluptuous, lovely ladies who had beautiful full lips and beautiful cleavage without going under the knife. And now you've got these absolute abominations with, a pair of lips like a baboon's arse and boobs like re-entry vehicles. You know what I mean? It's just
you're so correct. I mean, and that's the interesting thing about the Hammer stuff.
Yeah,
is when the women go from mere women, if you like, and then become vampires. We see the transformation through their figures and the way they present themselves. And as you say, the lush, deep red lips and the fangs and the eyes are staring and all this. So much more effective, because we know that those women, that's their actual figures. There's no, well, there might have been additions in special bras, but apart from that, there's nothing. There's no surgery or anything helping them out. So I agree with you. It was much better, and this is what you get in that first one, because we see both sides.
Could I raise a question for the panel on behalf of Eki, please? Would that be okay? Yeah, because he makes I didn't know this myself, but you may have known this, John, because you're a very knowledgeable person. But Eki says this: Christopher Lee was highly aware of the occult, and I wish I'd spent more time looking into his thoughts on this movie. I bet there's a wealth of information somewhere. I didn't know that about Chris Lee. I mean, one of the greatest, my absolute favourite Hammer film, and it's listed oftentimes as one of the best, which also
Don't say
starred
it.
Chris Lee.
Don't say it. I'll say you.
Yeah.
The Devil Rides Out.
Exactly. Yeah. So
And
that would play into
who got that film made?
Was it Chris Lee?
Correct.
Yeah. So
Christopher
like I
Lee
say,
was connected. Sorry, Sensum, just let me finish here. Christopher Lee was connected to Dennis Wheatley through family.
I don't know that one, mate. Sorry.
I was. But Ecky's right. Christopher Lee knew a lot about the occult, knew a lot about so-called black magic. Yeah. And it was him that pushed for The Devil Rides Out.
I have to say that's probably, like I say, that is my favourite Hammer film by far. I think that's a brilliant film. Devil Rides Out. There's no gimmicks, there's no ploys. It's just a brilliant film all the way through. And
Great
the
acting.
cast is phenomenal. You know,
yeah.
cast. I mean, Charles Gray. I mean, Patrick Moore is the young lad. You know, good. Christopher Lee, the bloke who, you know, is the other custodian or guardian, if you like, of Patrick Moore. They're all really good. But Charles Gray, the menacing, because Charles Gray was just great in that kind of role, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he's brilliant, very effective in that. Very
I just thought he was brilliant. Yeah, but yeah, so that's an interesting one. I didn't know that about Christopher Lee. I didn't realize he had a. I mean, it makes sense when it comes to the Devil's, the Devil Rides Out. If he wanted to get that film made,
yeah,
because
he pushed for it.
Yeah, so I think for me the question would be because obviously Christopher Lee, even though he didn't necessarily suffer from it, he was typecast in Hammer stroke horror stroke left of center roles, shall we say. When I say that, I mean sort of not. I mean his the role that he himself, he said he was most proud of, was him playing Lord Somerville in The Wicker Man. He thought that was a great role. He thoroughly enjoyed that film, and he was brilliant in it.
He put money into it.
Yeah.
But
then, in the next breath, he's playing what's he called? The main baddie in The Three Musketeers. I can't think of it. It wasn't Cardinal Richelieu because that was Charlton Heston, but what was he called? The Duke, the Comte to something or another. You know, the baddie with the eye patch.
Yeah.
Equally at home doing those kind of roles as he was doing the Hammer sort of thing. But I think the question would be, did Christopher Lee already have a penchant for the occult, and that's what drew him to them roles, or did those roles draw him towards the occult?
No, the interest came first.
Oh, it did it?
Yeah, because somewhere on my shelf I've got his biography somewhere. Tall, dark, and gruesome. The interest was there. I think doing those parts probably increased his interest in it. Obviously, when you're doing such an iconic figure as Dracula, I don't think you could help yourself doing research into it. But we really need to share this conversation with our William here. He's been very patiently sitting, not saying a word.
Yeah.
I'm taking notes here.
You are?
I'm going to watch the Devil Rides Out.
I think
know
you
that
will enjoy it. I think you will
Yeah,
enjoy it.
I know that. Yeah, on you go.
I was just going to say, William, The Devil Rides Out and Night of the Demon, the 1957, I think it is, Night of the Demon with Dana Andrews. They're probably my two favourite, if not favourite films. They're in the top 10, but probably my favourite two sort of spooky stroke horror films. Even though they're that old, they're that good. I think they're brilliant. I honestly do, mate. They're absolute genius.
Yeah. The only thing that I would add to what Sensen's saying there, William, is Night of the Demon is marred by the Czech writers insisting on showing the demon at the end of the movie, which just kind of mars it. But apart from that, it's just one of the best films ever made in this country. And when you look at it, it must have cost tuppence halfpenny. It was very low budget stuff, but boy, was it good. Plenty. It's all atmosphere. It's all atmosphere, really.
Yeah, atmospheric production. I thought that was quite good in Dracula, to be fair to it. But I did look, because what I wanted to know is how tall Christopher Lee was. Because when I first seen him, I thought, bloody hell, what is he, like 7 feet? He was 6'5" And when I was looking up that, I seen that he was ex-military, Royal Air Force originally. And I also seen that he is a Guinness World Record holder. Do we know maybe what for?
No, I don't know.
Without you
Is
could maybe imagine.
it sword fencing or something?
It's actually for acting roles. Seemingly, he played over 280 credited roles throughout his career.
Yeah, he played a lot of different television pieces. So he did. Like Roger Moore, these 25 minutes television things for youngsters. He did a lot of that stuff.
I think spanning over 7 decades.
Well, and he was a bloody good singer, operatic.
Yeah, singer. Well, I did read as well. He also had heavy metal albums later on in his career. So some boy.
Yeah, absolutely. Very talented guy. Very talented. And he spoke about 7 different languages, which made him much more employable, if you think about it.
Yeah, quite amazing.
Because he could just, think about it, he could just go to Spain and pick up the language. Italy was the same, and most European languages he spoke pretty fluently. So, and as Duck is telling us, he has that honor of playing Dracula more times than anyone else. Although he was never particularly keen as it went along. I remember reading one account about the series as it went along. They were so strapped for money that when it came to him, he was no longer wearing a full wig. He was only wearing the side parts of the wig. They'd done away with the makeup to straighten his nose up. And everything was shot from the front. So they didn't really bother about the back of the costume, whether it fitted or not. It was all kind of strapped into it because it was all about saving money.
Yeah.
And the idea would be to get him on set, get his part done as quickly as possible because he was getting paid by the day.
Mm-hmm. It did say as well that he had done quite a lot of charity work. I thought that was nice to read. And I'm sure it said he was still acting when he was 91.
Yeah, he
And I
was
thought,
in
bloody hell.
the do you remember
Lord of the Rings.
Well, he was in that, but he was also in the episodes 1, 2, and 3, the prequel, if you like, of the Star Wars. Well, 2 and 3 of the prequel of the Star Wars trilogy, as well as Count Dooku.
Yeah, and he wasn't very happy about
Yeah.
getting that title in that film.
Yeah.
But
Well, he
yeah.
was, in fairness, he was Count Dooku, but he was also Lord Tyrannus. Yeah. So.
So anyway, what would you give it out of 10 then, William? 10 being the best.
Do you know, I've not even thought, but I reckon, given the year it was made, the rushed time frame, and the kind of worry with censorship, I'm going to give it an 8.
Oh, excellent. That must be one of your highest scores so far.
Yeah, it's near there, but I was quite impressed. I don't know if I was maybe had low low expectations, but
You
I thought
probably did.
yeah, I thought they set the scene really well and used their tools that they had very well, and even to a point where that scene, like I said, when she turned old, I thought, bloody hell, that creeped me out.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get for that. I'm going to give it an 8 in the acting of Christopher Lee, and the fact that he seems like there's no one could compare to the work that he done in his career.
Very few, very few, if any. And I would say that as a big screen actor, he really got a late start. I know he'd been acting for many years before it, but you know, most of those years were spent making, the TV type film, the Sir Lancelots and William Tells and all that sort of thing. I think he did a lot of his apprenticeship on those types of shows before he got near the big screen. So he did very, very well considering. It's hard to imagine though that to begin with he couldn't get work. I always found that really peculiar. The fact that they thought he was too tall and too foreign looking. Whatever that means. Okay, Sensum, what would you give it out of 10?
Well, let me just, because he has put it down, believe it or not, let me just give Ecky's overall verdict. Yeah.
Good for him. Good for him.
His overall verdict is, I liked it. I'd say it's 6 out of 10 objectively, but in my heart, it's more like a 7 out of 10. Though I have a real soft spot for the production values of 1950s horror movies. So that was Ecky's sort of verdict and score. For me, I think once again it's one of those nostalgia things, and I'm sort of on a par with William. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 because even though when I first watched it, it was it would be disingenuous to say long in the tooth, but it was still really good. It was still interesting, and the characters were really good. And it's Dracula, isn't it? Even before you'd seen a film about Dracula, you knew Dracula.
Exactly.
Dracula was.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with William on that. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I can't remember the full series of Dracula movies, but there is one. I'm fairly confident there was one, and I can't remember if it's that one with the two couples, but there's one in the series that's better than the original. and I can't remember which one it is. It's remiss of me, but it's the one where he ends up being trapped underwater. You know,
That's Risen from the Grave.
I like that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the butler that brings him back.
Yeah, that's a good one. Is that the one? Is that the one where he has to walk through the hawthorn bushes? Unfortunately, they're all melding together, so I find it difficult to split them up into their individual movies. But yeah, the one. It's either the one where he ends up in the water, or
I think that's the one he ends up in the water.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's the one where he ends up in the water, or it's where somebody slips on the ice and cracks the head, and the blood accidentally goes through the ice, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's the next. That's the next one.
yeah. So, but yeah, I like I say, I'm happy with an 8 out of 10, and as a franchise, the Hammer. The Hammer Studios, they've punched well above their weight when you consider the budgets they had to work with. So yeah, I'd give it a 10. Absolutely. Well, yeah, I know where you're coming from, Toffee, but I think eight's fair. I think eight's fair, and also you got to think on 58 because I can't remember if it was my dad or my mum saying because they would have been. I think they were probably courting by then, believe it or not. So late 50s, and I remember something weird like when they were courting, they used to go to the pictures because that was the done thing back in the day.
Absolutely.
And couldn't remember. There was some comment that was made because you said, I don't know. I didn't know if there was something wrong with him because one week, the first week we went to see either way round, I can't remember. But we ended up seeing Dracula, and then the next week it was the Blob or vice versa. Because you got the Steve McQueen Blob. I think that was the same year, wasn't it? So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. There's Triple M. Triple M's giving it a 10 as well.
Yeah. Well,
that's pretty good.
Yeah. Devil Rides Out gets a 10 from me.
Well, as far as I remember, this is the first time we've ever had any of the movies getting a 10.
Yeah. Not well. Pan's Labyrinth. Everybody gave it a 9.5. So.
Oh, did we? Right. Okay. Did we?
Well, that reminds me. Better check out to see who's in the camera next, hadn't we?
Right.
I haven't checked.
I would give it a 10.
I'm sticking with an 8.
Well,
yeah, really.
I'll get more investment in it than most folk. I did have the real poster. I did have those bloody photographs. And I was a boy when I saw it. So I'm giving it a 10.
Yeah. Okay. So let's have a look who's in the camera. So
I'd give it 11 if Dracula hadn't died.
Well, he can come back. There's always a comeback. So that was me. So it was me. And then you, John.
Yeah.
And then Eki. Mm-hmm. And then so it must be Eki next then. It must be Eki next. So he's not here, so he'll have to come up with something. And I can reply to this email. And the options that Eki has got for the next pick, and we've only got 3 left now, is biopic, documentary, or sports. So that's going to be interesting, whichever one he picks, because there's
that's a toughie.
Yeah. Well, not for me. I've got 3 crackers lined up. But anyway, it's not my turn. I had to pick fantasy so that William didn't get it, basically. That's why he got Pan's Labyrinth. 9.5 from everybody, obviously. But yeah, I'll let him know. I'll let him know that he's next in the camera for the selection, and I'll give him the the options he's got. So there you
I
go.
like what Toffee said about that, the Hammer movies. Sounds nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Saturday night. Same. Well, I used to get it on. It was either a Friday night or a Saturday night. They would be on BBC Two late after the news had been on. Yeah, so fond memories for me as well. Yeah, I also liked the Roger Corman ones as well. Do you remember my favourite one of those was Mask of the Red Death? Do you remember that
Oh
one?
yeah, Vincent
Price. Yeah.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson's in which one is it he's in?
I can't remember. It's not the Pit of the Pendulum, is it? It's
No. And it might be the House of Usher, but I'm not sure.
definitely in one as a young chap with Boris Karloff. I know that much. So.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
he did quite a few, Corman. Yeah, smart man, getting on to the films that had no copyright problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Toffee. Dracula. Oh dear. Oh dear. Dracula.
That was one of the what they call blaxploitation films.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Wolf. That was.
Oh, look, listen to this one. It's a good one from Anglo. Had to watch Hammer House movies with a pillow on my groin. So many fine women.
Yeah, well,
Excellent.
Anglo. in the 2024 Dracula remake, Anglo, Mina Harker is Lizzo, so you won't need that pillow for that one, mate.
So whose turn? You say it's Ecky's turn.
It's Ecky's turn next, but because I've got his email open, I will reply
gotta
to
just
his
send it
message
off.
and let him know
Well,
what subjects are available.
I appreciate that. Yeah, you're quite right, Toffee. That is a good film as well.
Now that one, the Matthew Hopkins film, probably Vincent Price's best role, actually. That, and the director of The Witchfinder General was a really young lad, and him and Vincent Price didn't get on at all on set. They hated each other.
Yeah.
And when they did the first screening of the film, so obviously Price was there and the director was there, because Vincent Price wanted to ham it up and be overboard and everything, and this bloke, this director was saying, no, you just do this, and he kept on going back to his agent Vincent Price and saying, this is stifling, it's so claustrophobic, blah 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 blah, and when the film came out, Vincent Price got critical acclaim, but even before then, when they'd seen the first screening and they were in the back room where all the hoi polloi were, the film actors, etc., having the little backroom party.
Yeah.
Vincent Price, give him his due, went up to this young director who actually died quite young. He was only a few years later where he passed away, and he was a bloke in his 20s. And Vincent Price went up to him and said, you were quite right. I apologise for being an arsehole, or asshole, as the Americans would say.
Excellent.
And that was I thought that was quite a decent. Like I say, that young man, he should have gone on to do really, really good things. And unfortunately, he died quite young. The director of The Witchfinder General. There's actually a really good BBC documentary, radio documentary, and audio documentary on the making of that film, where it shows the antagonism between Price and this young director, and that's excellent as well. Really good.
Toffee's given us some info about a scene where someone's been hit with an axe and it's hard to watch. They actually had a hit a chunk of meat for the sound effect. I can easily imagine that, Toffee. That's the sort of thing they did back then.
I think that the sort of the final scene or the end of that film, where Ian Ogilvy sort of walks into the distance, or walks off the sets, or walks out of shot of the camera, realizing he's become the thing that he was against, the Hopkins type. So yeah, really, really good films. Yeah, and also when the movies dried up, they did some great, like the Hammer House of Horror television series, which was also fantastic.
Yeah, I did a lot of good short stories.
Children of the Moon, that one with Diana Dawson about the werewolf family. That was brilliant, really good. That, in fact, that shit me up when I was actually a little bit older. I would be like an early teenager, and that really because you didn't know which way his story was going to go. That was quite a. I think that was Christopher Casanova and I can't remember the name, but she was a famous actress, as well as Diana Dawes, who played, the house lady in this house where they ended up. All fantastic, but yeah. But it's been a great stream, John, and thank you once again for hosting the movie night. And I look forward to the next one, whatever that may be.
Yeah, always a pleasure. The movie nights. I know you did an advert at the beginning of the stream, but would you like to repeat the advert, please?
Okay.
Oh, well, here we go. Here we go, folks.
This just to please William, of course.
Tomorrow night at 8:00, it's Bonnie Ladd on his channel at 8:00. Then at 10:30, it's 42. Not me, 42 on his channel. 7:00 on Sunday, it's Ragnar Ironspear, who's got the guest Matt the Andrew Bootnet on for the end of the month stream. Then at 8:30, it's Scott's Armour with DJ, and I think No Chance's popping his head round the block to take umbrage at DJ's AI rap music he made about Clive, which is our good friend No Chance. And then on Monday, if you're hard pushed, 8:00, it's the Triumph of Truth stream with me, Toffee, and DJ, where we pretend to do news and we just basically laugh at shit.
William, what about yourself?
Yeah, do you know, some could just say, oh yeah, tomorrow night it's me, Sunday night it's me, and the rest of the week it's me. And that would be it, done. Do you know this? I was watching, it was quite late one night, and an American YouTuber was streaming, and I thought, right, I'll go there and get a break from Sensum. And guess who was bloody there? Sensum. He's everywhere. So, in fairness, it was a good stream, and I always enjoy your company and Sensum's company. I've got nothing planned myself. I'm a bit snowed in between growing and the garden and college, so I don't know, maybe sometime next week I'll jump on, but it's always a pleasure. Great to be back on, and good movie. I'll probably watch it again. Definitely a few things to look out for.
Yeah, absolutely.
with John's recommendations with the sharp eye, so I'll keep an eye out. And yeah, it's been great. You're looking well, John. It's good to see you. And yeah, thanks again, and take care, folks.
Yeah, you too, William. Nice to have your company here, as always. Okay, folks, that's the end of the movie review stream. There's nothing much for me to say, but I enjoyed it, as I always do. I'm glad you all seem to enjoy the movie. And we'll see what Eki comes up with next time. So I'm going to take Sensum out and William out of the stream. And I will make my goodbyes and say what I usually say, and that is adios, au revoir, cheerio, and until Tuesday evening, goodbye for now. And thank you, all of you, for being here tonight. And I hope to see you all on Tuesday. Nice to see you, James. I did see you a wee bit earlier. So enjoy the music, folks, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And if you get a bit of good weather, get outside.
Silently the snow falls, paints a winter scene, swiftly spreads the dark rim, hides a fading autumn green. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, conjure friendships dear to me. Lightly now the breeze flows, disturbing more than just the leaves. But life's much more than we can know. We are one small glow in the eternal flow. Patiently the love grows, lifts the weary heart. Gently now she holds me, melts two worlds once apart. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, usher dreams of you and me. Softly then the breeze blows, disturbing more than just the trees.
All together now.
But love's much more,
So much more
than we can know.
than we can ever possibly know.
We are one small glow,
But an important glow
in the eternal flow. Melodies of long ago, songs of innocence, harmonies to soothe the soul, past the consequence. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, awakening joys of you and me. Silently the snow falls, bringing winter symphony.
all together now.
But we're much more
So much more
than we can know.
than we can ever possibly know.
We are one small glow,
But an important glow
in the eternal flow. But life's much more than we can know. We are one small glow in the eternal flow.
So, folks, you take care. Enjoy your weekends, and I'll speak to you all with a bit of luck and the grace of God on Tuesday night. Bye for now.